Shallow seas typically border the edges of Earth's continents and can stretch for hundreds of miles off the coast. They are rarely more than 200 meters deep and are typically the entire length of the continental shelf until it drops down into the deep seas. The average climate of shallow seas are that of tropical areas, warm climates. They contain the richest, most varied marine life forms, from plankton to whales. The shallow sea biome must have sunlight, clear, clean water, and warm water temperatures. Warm water temperature climates come from surface ocean currents that are driven by global wind systems, which are fueled by energy from the sun and transfer heat from the tropics to the polar regions, influencing local and global climate. There are thousands of species that live within the shallow seas biome, all of which thrive off of each other to form a living, working ecosystem. The area that all of these life forms thrive is known as the coral reef. Coral reefs are the most important ecosystem for most life forms within shallow seas and contain 1/4 of all marine life on Earth. Reefs within shallow seas are found in all oceans and in more than 100 countries around the world. Coral reefs are generally found between the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn and the Caribbean and Red Seas. Coral reefs cover about 100,000 square miles of ocean land. Coral is an underwater structure that is made of thousands of tiny animals called coral polyps that feed off of floating microorganisms through tentacles. They have skeletons made from calcium carbonate that creates a hard, protective layer over their soft, delicate body underneath. The skeletons are white, and the beautiful color pigments come from the algae living inside the polyp's tissues, called zooxanthellae. As we all know, the human impact of climate change has affected the environment worldwide for decades and is continuing to get worse as time goes on. The increase in carbon dioxide emissions is causing global temperatures to rise and is especially exceeding the conditions that coral reefs thrive on for survival. Coral bleaching is a response of corals to increased sea surface temperature and refers to loss of symbiotic unicellular algae called zooxanthellae by the corals. The absence of this algae makes them appear white or bleached, which happens once the temperature increases to 1 to 2 degrees Celsius. Coral bleaching is happening in the Great Barrier Reef, and the reefs are dying quicker than we think. A time lapse was taken over the course of 2 months to monitor coral bleaching. This is the footage the guys in the movie Chasing Coral recorded during that time. Recovery for corals is possible if the normal temperature returns for a short period, but if it continues for much longer, corals will never recover and have the risk of becoming extinct. Coral reefs have the broadest biodiversity of any other marine ecosystem. They provide important ecoservices and economic benefits to the growing human population, as well as many species habitats. They are home to more than 4,000 species of fish, 700 species of coral, and thousands of other species of plants and animals. Many fish feed on coral reefs and their flora, such as the parrotfish, who is known to potentially be able to save coral reef ecosystems. Parrotfish eat algae and dead coral, essentially cleaning the reefs, and they even poop sand, which helps the soils regenerate the living plant species. Seagrass is the only flowering plant that can grow on the ocean floor and are the source of food for different fauna species such as green sea turtles and dugongs. At their peak, they can grow to cover the seafloor for up to 1,500 square miles. Coral reefs can act as protection barriers for coastal cities, communities, and beaches from strong and destructive ocean waves. Approximately 200 million people depend on coral reefs to protect them from storms and waves.